interesting. And yeah, there's no delay. But I guess without further ado, we can get started. Let me just share screen. Now, I mean, a little bit of a loose record or broken record, I guess. But you know how these things goes. We always start with our fear and greed index. So we are currently sitting at a 10. So we've moved up by 4 points from 6 the last time we went on stream, which is pretty nice. So still in extreme fear, but the fact that we are moving 4 points, uh, it's a little bit confidence inducing, but still in extreme fear, which means that any move right now can just be a fake out to the top, or it might not last long. Looking at our Bitcoin exchange liquidation map, and this is sort of what I'm worried about. Now, we did wipe out a lot of the shorts, um, which were fairly late, and now we've built up quite a lot of liquidity to the downside. So we have 2 billion versus about 812 million for the shorts. However, on the 7 day, we are still imbalanced to the upside, right? It is 2.76 versus 4.15, so about a 1 to 1.5 ratio. And you can see that in terms of price action, we are going for these upward clusters. Um, Market open is currently ongoing, so let's see how that reacts. But we are still imbalanced to the upside on basically every time frame except for the 1 day. Yeah. So now this dropped from like 18 billion to 10, and we have got 2 billion. So I do think we're going to try to take some of these clusters out. Going to our RSI heat map, we've moved from weak to neutral on the 12 hour, and a lot of our top coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, they're back to neutral. Um, but we do have some um, important coins, I would say, that are sort of still down here. I mean, the likes of Gala, so if you're into the gaming narrative, that's still in a week. You have, uh, who else is here? Uh, Ton, yeah, Ton's still here. Anna's still here. So, not a lot of coins have really moved out of the week yet. I mean, they're straddling the line. But fact of the matter is, we are seeing strength increase or return back to the space. Looking at the liquidation heat map, here on the 24 hour, we have a hotspot at 64,000, which is the start of this massive candle move to the upside, which we have now sort of broken out of. And we're going for the hotspots at 66.7. Terrible number, but it is what it is. And we have reclaimed some of those spots right here on the 48 hour. And our hotspot is at 62 here on the 48 hour. Looking at the 3 day, it's going to be a very similar narrative. So if we zoom out into the 1 week, we can see that our hotspots still lie at about 68, 9, or 69 ish, and we are still in balance to the upside. So that does tell me we will see some upside. And if you do zoom out, this is sort of an inverted head and shoulders that Bitcoin has formed. And on the 4 hour, we'll be able to see that it has been trading in a descending channel. So for it to make an inverted head and shoulders within a descending channel on the 4 hour, that tells me that we're likely going to see a little bit more upside, even a breakout potentially. Now, I don't think this is going to be a breakout to new all time highs. Let's be realistic, it's probably not. It's probably just going to be a breakout to a lower high, and then we capitulate back. So 1 month, very similar. I mean, we potentially could go to 84. You have such a massive gulf in terms of liquidity, looking at 5.71 billion versus uh, sub 1 billion. So you could potentially go back here, form a lower high, head back down, capitulate below this candle. Looking at the Bitcoin long-term holder supply is something I did want to show, because the thing about this is that unlike our other metrics, this doesn't really work well from a day-to-day basis. You have to just sort of come back and check. We can see that there was a huge sell-off here at November 23, which correlates with the crash. But you can see that we have seemingly returned to the level pre-November. So this is November 21. So pre-November, we are going back to those levels, right? Even to the accumulation. We are at the accumulation from February of last year, and we are slowly headed up. and you can see that we're accumulating at the level of May from 2025, despite the fact that price has gone down significantly. So that does tell me that a lot more whales are buying in. So that about does our FA for today. Let's stop the stream. Let's go back, look at the charts. First things first, I did want to look at USDT dominance. I do know we look at this towards the end of the stream, but you can see double bottom broke out, even a triple bottom broke out. Now we've got our downward reversal ribbon twist, and we're probably going to go back to retest this wedge. How that translates to the rest of the space is if we go to Bitcoin, right? And let me focus here on the 4 hour. So let me make this one, and then let's hide all indicators first, just so we can better visually see the descending channel I was speaking of. So we have been trading on this descending channel. You can see that we bounced here, we got rejected here. In fact, you could probably make this a little better, uh, just like that. Yeah, yeah. So, and we've drawn points at which there was support and resistance. So this point was a support, broke through. Now and then this also was a support. So now we're sort of testing if we can change these supports that flip into resistance back to supports. And our target here is about 68.5-ish here on the descending channel. So we need to be able to see if we can get here. Now, you can see that the inverse head and shoulders isn't really that well seen, but if we go to the 1 hour, it becomes very prevalent. So you can see that inverse head and shoulders right there. So you have one here, one here, one here. So that's your inverse head and shoulders. And right now, with 22 minutes on the close, we want to see if we can stay above or stay within this line. Because notice how this whole section here was resistance, and now we're getting wicks. Now, if we get rejected here, we're going to fall back to this area at which our right shoulder was formed. But let's look at what the oscillators have to tell us. So I'm going to go back to 2. Let's change this back to maybe 12 hours, and then see what our indicators have to say. And this time I'm going to hide our drawings so we can better visually see what's happening. So on the 12 hour, on some exchanges, Bitcoin did go oversold on the 12 hour, which is a good thing, right? At least for our purposes, given that we did go long. So if I go to here, you can see that it didn't even hit our stop loss to break even. It almost did, but it didn't. So we're still in this trade, which is pretty good. But we can see that your 1 hour does want to head up. You are getting a slower outflow in Bitcoin in terms of money, which is indicated by our money flow oscillator here. Here on the 12 hour, you are getting bullish volume. You are getting sort of a decrease in the outflow, and you are getting that reversal as well as that ribbon twist. However, like I said, until we're able to crack the range right here, this range between 66.7 and 66.188, it's really difficult to say that we're going to fly. Now, I do think that should we break out of this descending channel, hold on, give me 1 sec. All right, sorry, I've returned. Let's see here. Okay, so until we break above this resistance here between 66.7 and 66.2, it gets difficult. Now, if we were to project where this descending channel might go, what we'd have to do is essentially place the top to the bottom here. So from here to here to basically check how far we could possibly extend. Don't know why that's yellow. But that would put us right at our 618 of 7966. 655, which is fairly interesting because it also puts us to our dynamic reactor, which will, of course, be a form of resistance, and it's also at an SVG. Now, do I think we can potentially go back here to our point of interest on the 12 hour? It's possible, but let's actually put a horizontal ray there. Alright, and then let's make this, let's make it pink. That's not really well seen. Yellow. There we go. A very ugly yellow. Oh, it's kind of a nice yellow. So that would form a lower high if we got to this point. And it would still make sense. I mean, your chick magnet is pointing you to 86. That is the start of your bearish prime block. And it's near the 618. So it does make sense, at least for me, that we head here. Your 200 day, sorry. My mistake. 200 day moving average would get to about this point by the time we get here. Now, I do think it's still possible to get to this level, but I'm not optimistic. I would rather rely on our measured move to about 80,000. Potentially up to 86-ish. We'll just have to see. Now let's look at a couple of other coins like Ethereum. So Ethereum macro-wise is following the same thing that Bitcoin's doing, right? If you put this in the 12 hour rather than the 1 day, you'll sort of see that descending channel again. So right here, we can something like this, right? You can see that descending channel again. So for me, it does make sense that Ethereum is following Bitcoin in this sense. We can also have the same idea for Solana. Although I'm not as confident in Solana right now because Solana is faster and more versatile than the likes of Ethereum and Bitcoin. However, fundamentally, it's kind of suffering at the moment because of just how its unlocking structure, right? Just how team of Solana is sort of handling it at the moment. But fairly decent showing from Solana. Do I think that it could go as low as 40, like Runaire is saying? Possibly. But I do think that a break of the descending channels would put you more likely to go back to your 3 digits for Solana. Let's look at gold for a sec, and we do want to get a scalp today. Okay, so gold is on a rising wedge here on the 1 hour. I did say I did want to short gold one of these days, right? So we got to the wick here where we got buying pressure, but we're still sort of trading within this candle here. I think I'll wait a bit for a break in the rising wedge, and I'll sort of delete this projection here. Silver hasn't reached our our entry, or I guess proposed entry, but I am liking the odds of this, relatively speaking. I'm liking these odds. Maybe we can move it slightly higher, right? But I'm liking these odds. Now this, you could argue this is sort of a triple bottom, but at the time it gets over here, it could be overbought, so we'll have to see. I do have my alerts ready. Hey Armac, welcome. Okay, let's look at potential coins to scalp. Mm, I kind of want to chill a little bit on scalping Bitcoin. I mean, we've been right for the like the entirety of last week, and our long term long is still holding up. Uh, so might want to rest on Bitcoin. We could do something a little bit more exciting. If you guys have suggestions on what you might want me to scalp, let me know. But I guess by default, let me check what we have here on the RSI heat maps. Uh, okay. The question is, do we want to short or long? Now, if we go with the trend, of course, long would be the right answer. Or we could look at dot. Dot seems to be overbought on the 4 hour, alongside the likes of virtual and AVAX. So could be a decent render. Where is? Let's look at dot because it, according to the RSI heat map, it's way overbought for what it is relative to other coins. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh no, no, I don't think so. I don't think now's the time to short. We what we could do is wait for a pullback for some of these and go long, right? Um, it wouldn't. It might not be entirely smart, or we wait for the 4 hour to go overbought. That's how I would do it. Oh, hey OC, good morning. Yeah, fancy, fancy to see you on my stream. So yeah, thank you for dropping by. Uh, but yeah, phew. So I guess dot's not the way to go to scalp. Mm, what other coins potentially? We can look at AVAX. Mm-hmm. It might have the same story as dot though. Is the thing. Yeah, I mean, look at that money inflow. Granted, you are getting bearish volume on AVAX now. 1 hour is overbought. Hmm. But it's kind of, I don't know. Because if your 1 hour is like this and the 5 minutes is already sort of retraced and is showing a move to the upside, then you're more likely to get upside. How is Bitcoin doing? Okay, it's pushing up. So best to set an alert at 67.6. See how it reacts at that point. I also have an alert to the top of the channel, right? And then if we can get the hourly close, even just within the range, like a very strong close within this range of 66.7 and 66.2, then I think we're going to get upside once again, maybe on the weekly candle, which could be a first for 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 what is essentially such a long time. Excuse me. All right, so let's see how this hourly closes. Then maybe we can look in for some longs. Actually, SWE might be a good idea for a long. Uh oh, no, no. Actually, what'd be funny? Dagger, remember the projection on Solana? I wonder if it's still, if it's canceled the projection, or if it's still there. That'd be insane. Yeah, the negative. Oh no, it's still there. Negative 74. You know, if Solana thinks it's possible, I think it's possible, right? Although, at that point, if it's negative 74, how are you earning? It's like you're it's like you're giving Solana away for free. And the founders are giving you money to have Solana, right? Yeah. Oh. Oh, hey Shell. Welcome, welcome. So yeah, thank you guys for dropping by. I know this is a new schedule, so I really do appreciate you guys sort of adjusting a little bit. It's 30 minutes after the time we normally start, but um, it's better. I think it's better for uniformity when I was going over it with OC. Yeah, and you guys get shows like every day rather than multiple shows clustered in like the start of the week. At least now it's spread out, and I even get a weekend show, which is fun. All right. So 8 minutes before close. Um, so what am I looking for? I'm looking at potentially maybe doing a scalp short, just because we are overbought on the 1 hour for most of these. But then, given the 4 hour, 12 hour, and even 1 day of these coins, it's kind of difficult to justify staying in it for too long. So we'll have to see, right? Uh, Now we could also do a scalp long on a retracement, like a trend following strategy, which isn't necessarily my strong suit, but you gotta adapt, right? Alternatively, we could look at potentially monitoring some precious metals like gold and silver and trading that instead. I had watermelons again. I don't know what it is with watermelons. But yeah, what I'm looking for is some sort of rejection around here, right? I want some sort of rejection for gold around this area in particular. So you can see that this is sort of a pain zone. People went long, sell, and then you got selling pressure, pushed it down. So pain zone right here. So that's going to be an important zone that we're going to have to look at. If we go overbought within this zone for both the 5 minutes and 1 hour, there's a good likelihood that we're going to capitulate. Maybe not too much, right? I don't foresee such a big dump from this point. Probably back down to the dynamic reactor or about 5,114. Because in theory, right, if you do fall out of this ascending channel, you could find some support here at the FEG or at equilibrium, but it's sort of just figuring out what scenario is going to play out, right? This is educated gambling where we can improve the odds in our favor. I've seen similar thing on Bitcoin back in 22, negative 11k. Really? That's insane. When did you get this? How old is this photo? Oh, replay too. Okay. That makes sense. But damn, okay, so that puts you at what? July 2022? You know, it would be fun if we just look back at what happened July 2022. Let's open a fresh chart. I love how one of the layouts I have is called fresh. And it is not a fresh chart. 15k was the bottom. I see. So it got down to about its measured move. Interesting. Okay, let's. Oh wait, this is gold. What am I doing? What am I doing? Let's do automatic. Uh, let's do 1 week. Oh no, let's. We need Binance, don't we? Because uh, they have more data. Yeah. Okay. So right here. Yeah, November 2022. That's true. We could do index, but at least for our purposes. Yeah. So it was about here or even here that we saw capitulation, and then a move back up, and then that sort of sets you on the path to all time highs. Now, do I think this is what's going to play out necessarily? Not entirely. I mean, this kind of looked like, yes, right, this is different from this structure here, but we can get some sort of understanding where you had a massive move down, you capitulated further to really kill people's hopes in the market, and then you head back up. Now, the thing about this 200-week moving average is that the last time we fell out of it was back in 2023, right? So you can see that we didn't technically bounce off of it, right? Because this was just a new moving average that was set. Um, but when we did trade under it, it was sort of the perfect time to basically accumulate. You're basically getting BTC at a wonderful price. Now at this point, we can see that we haven't really broken below our 200-week moving average. So it does tell me that we can get some sort of retest back to the top part of this channel, or even potentially to the dynamic reactor. At least that's what I see. And it looks like we are pushing above our resistance. Yeah, looks like we're pushing above it. If we can stay above this resistance, flip it back to support on a retest, then we can go long for a scalp on basically any coin, I would say. Yeah. So let's just patiently wait. I hope you guys had breakfast or maybe a snack. For me, I have banana chips, which is fantastic. Of course, I'm not going to let you guys hear the chewing because that would be crass, but yeah. I wonder if we can hold it. Let's go to the 1 hour, 5 minutes here. See if we can hold it. 30 seconds left. Okay, very strong close here on the 1 hour, which also um, would give us some credence for how we might close for the 4 hour. So now what I would do is wait for sort of a retest, test this support. If it holds, then we can take a scalp long and close the stream out with a long. But yeah, we. Oh yeah, I've seen this before. So it's it's fairly decent. I mean, it is a fairly decent omen, right? So we have broken below it. So this area where you had the rejection in terms of like structure, our consolidation is very similar to the start of that cross. And then as we trade below it, it becomes sort of a decent place to accumulate, right? We've already broken a lot below it. Now you could argue we can crash further. That's very much in the cards, right? But I would like to argue that if we can seemingly hold. Oh wait, this the 3 day. If you can add the 200 week moving average on it, you'll see what I mean. Where we're sort of being supported by an even larger moving average than normal at this point, right? And that's sort of what's not there. Yeah, it's really interesting. And I mean, if you look at your oscillators too, you were oversold at that point in or on the 1 week for your CPO plus, and every single time we've reached a spot where it was a wonderful time to accumulate or buy, you got you printed a blue triangle on the MVP ribbon. Now, of course, our indicators, despite how amazing they are, and I mean, I've used them or I've demonstrated before just how powerful they are and how you can use them even for prediction. The fact of the matter is, you are getting the same signals for the conditions back then that would have told you to accumulate now, right? At the present, which is crazy. Which is also why I decided to take that long here. I literally did not sleep when this was happening. I was just watching it, and I was like, okay, all right, everyone take that long at 63.2 or 62.8. I forget my entry, but it was something along like that permutation of numbers. Crazy times. But yeah, it looks like we do want to get to this point of interest on the 1 hour. Now I'm just waiting for some sort of retest of support. Now if it just flies out, right, goes up here, doesn't retest this anymore, then damn, guess there's no scalp today. But if it does, right, if it gets to this point, retests even just to the previous day high, doesn't have to reach support necessarily, right? It can go just to previous day high, then we can take a scalp long. I hope it can do that all within the hour because that would be great. If not, uh, it would suck a little bit. But yeah, how is everyone? Have you closed any of your short positions or reaccumulated? I just love to get the sentiment here. Hey Ma, welcome. Okay, okay, we might actually get our retest. So I want a retest of the support that we just broke past here on the 1 hour close. If we can't get a retest, that's fine. Sucks, but it would be fine. Oh, nice. Yeah, I remember this. Yeah, I see. So, right here. Oh, G GBP JPY. Nice. I don't trade forex, but I do know that it is also a very fun asset class to trade. Not sure about the terminology there though. Okay, let's see if this will hold. I don't. It might break into the FVG, right? But if it closes with at least some sort of wick, and if it's a nice long wick, we can probably do just scalp long, 1 to 1.5 RR. I should probably prepare my phone to send the message. Nvidia is going up right now. I would not be surprised if there's a shakeout before earnings news, then back up if earnings are good, if not 5% drop. Actually, you're right. I should check out Nvidia. Uh, actually, just go here. Stock 2. Nope. Say stock. Yep. Excuse me. Yeah. do not do not eat watermelons before streams, guys. I should have learned my lesson. Okay. Yeah, it is. I mean, strictly from the CPO plus, you can see why you did get to the bottom extremity, upward reversal, but you are facing that resistance now. Excuse me. Mm, very interesting. If we go down to even just a 12 hour, maybe that will give us some better things. You are starting to overextend on the 12 hour, but you got above this your quantum and dynamic reactor. So this area right here could set up a bullish move back to. Is this all-time highs? Surely not. I guess it is. Back to all-time highs. And if Nvidia does well, it's not necessarily causal for crypto, but crypto is likely to share or follow if Nvidia does pretty well. So we got the close, not quite the close I'm looking for, and the 5 minutes did print a bearish divergence and a peak seeker. So I'm not going to do much right now. Maybe the 15 minutes could be more or could give more clarity. if it closes like this, I mean, absolutely take a very small short down. Change this to the 4 hour. If you base it off the 4 hours, shorting is actually not a great idea. If you base it on the 1 hour, then it could be a pretty decent idea. But let's go back to the 5 minutes. If we can get, or if we can stay like this, I'll do a very small, long. Might get wrecked, might not get wrecked, but we'll see. I wonder if we can do 4 for 4 for scalps. I know I said I didn't want to scalp BTC anymore, but it is the easiest one, I feel. Because with altcoins, you'd have to think about what BTC's doing. Okay. If we close strong, I'll do a scalp long. 1 hour and 4 hours seem to support like a small move to the upside. The question is how or where I'm gonna put the stop loss. I don't want it to be too far, probably below the FEG. Then maybe just a 1 to 2. Maybe 2 resistance. Yeah, so I'm gonna set a market order. I'll adjust as needed, but let me just put in the diet the diet. Oh my goodness. Okay. The data. What time is it? 11. Let's say 11:17. But yeah, you guys can see it here first. I do 25x or 50x leverage. Yeah, 67,201 seems about right. Really hate that that's the number, but it is what it is. And then stop loss to 67,950. Perfect. So just announced that. Let's see how our scalp's gonna do. Um, ooh, interesting. Hold on. I do want to check something. Um, hmm. Open interest. So open interest did increase by almost $500 million in the last 2 hours, which is kind of scary if you have such a huge spike, because that means that people are going in with hard leverage. Uh, and for those who weren't here earlier, let me just show how much leverage we've got piled up right now. You can see that on the long side we have a ton. Earlier there was still a lot. There was still quite a few shorts, but now we've decimated them almost completely. Now we could go for these clusters. You can see some late longs, and this is sort of the open interest I was talking about right here. Uh, but yeah, 657 versus 2.24. So that's almost a 1 to 4, maybe even 1 to 3. Closer to 1 to 4, I think. 1 to 4 ratio. Not looking good for the longs. So I do think we will get rejected at our first take profit or even the top of the channel. So let's go back to how our scalp is doing. Now, if we lose this scalp, it would suck, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. Um, let's just see how we roll with it. That's all looking that good. Maybe I should have entered lower. Yes, 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 yes. Come on. Scalp. Hey, Sid. Welcome. Let's see if the scalp's gonna hold. But we do still have 30 minutes on the show, so lots of time before we get to see, or we get to see how this unfolds. Actually, what time is? I should check what time Nvidia earnings will drop. 5. Yeah, it says 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 p.m. ET. So it's around market close. Oh, huh. What happened there? 65.4? It didn't even go to 65. Yeah, something's up with Bing X. Sorry, I didn't even see this earlier. But yeah, no. Um, I wouldn't have taken it on your end. Yeah, I mean, that's so odd. But I do remember there was a point in time where, like, Mexi on TradingView, it hit zero. Like, all the prices hit zero. But fair price didn't hit zero. So, like, I remember TradingView had a little prompt where it was like, we are contacting the exchange to for the information here. Please stand by, or like, don't use this for now, which was really interesting. But yeah, it says about 5 p.m. ET. But yeah, so conventionally, right, when we see lots of bearish divs as well as your peak seeker, you do want to go short. But my logic here was our higher time frames. They were telling us that we could still get some move to the upside, and that's why I framed a scalp long. Now we are getting alerts here, right, that you are going overbought in some of your coins, so we could do scalp shorts on them. Was it Sui? It was one of them. Okay. What time frame is this? 15. Let's go 5 and put this into the 1 hour time frame. So yeah, I mean, this is sort of a very different look from how Bitcoin's looking. So I do see alts, or these alts in particular, just not performing as well. 1 hour is overbought. Oh, I was about to say oversold. It did touch your, or almost touch your point of interest. But we'll have to see, because if Bitcoin heads up, there's a good chance these guys are heading up too, like that, as we see. So let's see. See if we can get the scalp. Actually, did we reach? Did we just touch our? Um, Let me double check. This life is amazing when you open arms. Not yet, but it's about to. Let's actually set an alert for it. No, no, come on. There you go. Just do that. Come on, come on. You're very close. 201. No. Come on, hit it. Damn it. Come on. So you can go risk free on the trade, not have to worry, not have to think, and be happy with life. Come on, you got this. There we go. There we go. But yeah, looks like we got our first TP. Ooh, you wicked up to 67.4. Got above this. Let's see if you can maintain that. If you can, that would be fantastic. Even if it leaves just a tiny wick, I don't mind. If we can get above resistance, close above it, that would be good as well. Hold on, I should charge my device. Ooh. Okay, so we got a close. I mean, was it above the wick? Unfortunately, it even closed below the previous day high, so it's kind of riding on. Wait, let's see how the 30-minute closed. I'm sure it has a pretty long wick. Yeah, this one? Yeah, has a pretty long wick, but decent body. Oh wait, no, that was never mind. It's past 5 minutes already, so yeah, we should be fine. Ideally, we will be looking at how the 1 hour closes. Get above this, uh, then you're likely to live a long, happy life, I guess. not really fond of this close. Granted, there's no more downside risk, but not really fond of having both candles leave wicks. This did close larger, like, yeah, taller, but not fond of that. Granted, we haven't really hit overbought on the 5 minutes yet, so that gives me confidence that we can push higher. Uh, okay, getting a decent push. Hey, Neroli, welcome. But yeah, actually, if you guys have any coins you want me to look at, just let me know. We still have about 17 minutes left on the show. Uh, so yeah, there's still plenty of time. And I do want to look back at USDT dominance. So it did lose the previous week low. So uh, if you're looking at this chart, which you should if you're looking at cryptocurrency in general, right? Good chart to look at. Your point or areas of or points of interest, I guess so, because it, yeah, excuse me, or levels of interest might be a better term, right? Her level of interest is going to be right about here, and you want to see if you can bounce off this prime block. Now, of course, this doesn't really have volume behind it, so technically there is no real liquidity. However, if you have or if you bounce off this prime block or off um, this descending trend line here, then you are for sure going to see a drop back in cryptocurrency or a pullback in cryptocurrency. Now, however, we do have a solid move to the downside, which means that, excuse me, which means that we are going to see some upside here on crypto. Now, if you do, or if you subscribe to um, volume profile theory, right? This right here is a high volume node. This is resistance or support in this case. If you break below this, you have a large gap. Typically, when you have a large gap, you follow through to the next high volume node. So, in theory, if there is nothing here, or if these supports are not strong enough to reverse price back, volume profile theory would tell you that you would drop all the way back down to about your 618 and retest your support on the dynamic reactor. So we could see some more upside on crypto. Looks like our long scalp is doing pretty well. You can see, right? Let's replay this on the 1 hour. And to be fair, we're going to mark the high volume node right there. And then we're going to mark this high volume node right here. And Yeah, I think we can do that for now because you can see that there was a gap here and we filled that gap. So let's replay it back even here, Feb 25, right? From this explosive move to the upside, you can see from this point we did touch straight here. We even wicked down, right? And then if we play this, right, wick down, drop, you can see that we went back from here, we went back down to the next high volume node, right? And then we went to this local high volume node, seeing if we can get above it. We got above it. We went back to this high volume node, and now we're back here. So volume profile theory is very strong. It's a great tool, and if you want to use it, all you need to do is add bar magnified volume profile slash fixed range by chart prime. My settings are 200, 100, 25, 45, and yeah. Okay. Let me remove these lines here and see. This is a good sign if we get this. Uh, hmm. How'd the 15 minutes close? That's a strong close on the 15 minutes. Not even a oopsie. Not even a wick. Aw, man. It's not ideal. Yeah, 5 minutes closed like that. Doji-ish. Not ideal. Can we bounce off support? I think we got a trend change. At least here in the 5 minute. Now, if you can stay above it and you can get another green candle to engulf the last one, then you could close fairly strong on the 1 hour. This could put you in overbought though. Okay, small pull. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. Okay. Doesn't look like we'll close that strong. I mean, we still have a decent body, right? And we are closing above the point of interest. So let's see how this point of interest shifts. If it will stay the same, then we are going to trade above it, and we can possibly still get a push back to the upside. If this closes with a strong wick to the upside, then the next candle is gonna start up here. We could go overbought at by 12 p.m. EST, but yeah. Okay, we need to close above the resistance, please. Come on, this should turn green. Let's close above it. Okay, and stuff can happen in 16 seconds. Okay, so we got a fairly strong close here on the hour. Point of interest still here, and looks like we'll still get some upside. We're not overbought yet, so I do think we can get full take profit on our long. So yeah, that about ends the stream. Thank you, Eddie, Shell, Ma, QXT, and Taga for joining me. I'll be here same time tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. EST to join you guys. Yeah, so once again, thank you for joining me. Let's pray that the scalp goes pretty well. And with that, I'm Langstrom. Don't forget to always use a stop loss. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow.